Uh, Good afternoon, dear friends. Today we'll be continuing with the ninth stanza of the poem The Last Ride Together by Robert Browning. Now, the stanza is already there in front of you. I'm focusing on the text. Uh, we have already been discussing about the philosophy of Robert Browning, and we have gone through a lot about the optimism of the poet. Now, the ninth stanza, again, you have ample of lines to reflect upon what exactly Browning wants to say. He says, "Who knows what's fit for us? Had fate proposed bliss here, should sublimate my being? Had I signed the bond, still one must lead some life beyond. Have a bliss to die with, dim descried. This foot once planted on my goal, this glory garland round my soul. Would I descry such? Try and test. I sink back shuddering from the quest. Earth being so good, would heaven seem best? Now heaven and she are beyond this right." So now the ninth stanza, Browning probes new avenues of apparent success. This stanza suggests how attainment may deaden noble efforts and desires. Here we find a profound philosophy of the poet who consoles himself through the lover that if here we had perfect bliss, what about life beyond death? We tend to complain of our bad luck. But do we know what is apt for us? The lover feels that if he had signed the contract with his destiny, then he should have had supreme joy here and now. We must look forward for some life after death. So, after all, earthly success there still remains some great achievements for future. The lover feels that if his soul had been invested with the garland of fulfillment, the full joy of having got what he wanted, nothing would have remained for him in the life to come. The lover here enunciates also the motto of life. That is, Browning's optimism asserts that we must accept what we have here, failures as well as successes, in a spirit of expectations of greater things to come. So, as the painter or the musician does not obtain his heart's desire, let him be satisfied with what he has, be it ever so little. Let him look forward greater things to come. Life is a splendid adventure, and man should have the spirit to welcome whatever he comes across and having absolute faith that all things work for good ultimately. If earth were all that it would be, how could heaven be better than the earth? The lover here gives a fine turn to his thoughts on the failure to achieve one's desires. It is good that after earth there should be heaven to look forward to, a bliss to die with, dim descried. If everything we get on earth, will there be anything to look forward to? Similarly, this ride is proving immense joy to the lover. But after this ride, his beloved will recede in the distance, a bliss to die with, and heaven will be with her. He is not sorry that he did not get her, the end of everything, but he will think of his beloved after this ride as a distant vision, just as he looked forward to a heaven after life on earth. So the point here is that perfect happiness with nothing to look forward to is not desirable. This is what Browning here wants to express. The blessedness of life lies in our privilege to make efforts, to test present happiness, to look forward to some future not yet born. The lover thus sublimates his disappointments to the level of aspiring hopefulness. So, this is what basically Browning talks about in the ninth stanza, where he asserts the fact that if everything we get in this world, on this earth, all the joy, all the happiness, all the achievements, then what will we achieve in life after death? What is heaven for? So basically, he feels that his failure, even if he fails, no matter he feels that he hasn't failed, but even if he failed, then he hopes for a better future or a better circumstances or a better completing of his aspirations and hopes in the next life that's about to come. And he definitely feels the next life is when will be heaven. And heaven will be when all the desires, all the wishes, all the dreams, all the aspirations, all the achievements, all the joy, all the happiness, all the pleasures come true of an individual, or in fact here we can say a soul. So ninth stanza is full of optimism of Robert Browning, and of course Robert Browning is an optimistic poet because his philosophy, no matter there is a kind of there is a touch of pessimism, but Browning is expert in bringing out optimism from that pessimism And this character, the lover here, who is the protagonist of the poem, and also, as you all know, that this poem is written in the form of dramatic monologue. So, of course, the lover is self introspecting. No, he is the speaker, and the beloved is the silent listener. So, here in this dramatic monologue, we go into the psyche of the lover, the character which was created by Robert Browning through the entire poem. Thank you so much.